Some of you sitting here today, you've been in a fight. You've been in a struggle. You've faced battles that seemed impossible. But let me tell you something right now. God is working on your behalf, even when you can't see it, even when you don't feel it. He's moving mountains in your life. He's opening doors that no man can close, and he's making a way where there seems to be no way. I know you've been knocked down, but I came to tell you, this is not your end. No, it's just the beginning of the best chapter of your life. I dare you to look at your neighbor and tell them God is working on your behalf. You may feel like you're walking through life with nobody truly understanding the weight you're carrying. There are moments when you feel invisible, as if the world has turned its back on you. You've experienced pain that seems unbearable, disappointments that have left scars, and perhaps you've even felt like you were fighting battles in silence. But let me remind you today, right here, right now, God sees you. God sees your every tear. He sees the nights when you've cried yourself to sleep, asking him why you're still in this season of struggle. He sees the prayers you've whispered in the quiet of your heart, the ones you thought nobody else heard. While the world may overlook you, God sees you. He knows the hurt that you're carrying, the weight of it all, and he is not blind to your suffering. You may have tried to push through, to wear a smile when your heart is breaking, but God sees beyond the mask you wear. He sees your heart. What you need to understand is that when the world turns its back on you, when people walk out of your life, when circumstances seem stacked against you, that's when God steps in and says, I see you. He doesn't leave you in your mess. He doesn't abandon you in your struggle. No, he's there and he's working on your behalf, even when you can't see it. Sometimes we get so caught up in the pain, in the frustration, that we forget this simple truth. God is never far away. He's right there in the midst of it all, working behind the scenes in ways we can't always understand. You might be thinking, but where is he? Why does it feel like I'm alone in this battle? And I get it. The road has been hard. But let me assure you, God is working on your behalf, even in the silence, even in the waiting. There's something powerful about knowing that God sees you, not just in the moments when things are good, but especially in the moments when you feel lost and broken. His love for you is unwavering. His plan for you is unshakable. And though the path you're walking may seem uncertain, he's there, guiding you every step of the way, and he's not going to let you fall. So when you feel forgotten, when it seems like your efforts are unnoticed, just know that God sees you, and he's working on your behalf. You are not invisible to him. You are his precious child, and he's never too busy to be right there with you, working everything out in his perfect time. Trust that he sees the bigger picture, and in his hands, your story is far from over. It's just the beginning of something beautiful he's about to bring into fruition. You've been waiting and waiting and waiting. It feels like the promise is lingering, just out of reach, like you can see it on the horizon, but every step you take seems to push it further away. You've been praying, asking God, why hasn't it happened yet? Why does it feel like I'm stuck in the same place? And I know the frustration. I know the disappointment when you can't see progress. But let me tell you something about God's timing. It is never wrong. It may not happen when you want it, but trust me, it will happen exactly when it's meant to. See, we have this tendency as humans to rush everything. We want the answer now. We want the breakthrough right now. We want the healing right now. But God's timing is perfect. He's not late and he's not early. He's always right on time. When you don't see the change happening in the moment, it doesn't mean it's not coming. It means God is preparing something far greater than you can imagine. You see, it's not about rushing the process. It's about trusting the process. Sometimes we want the miracle to happen overnight, but God is more concerned with what you're becoming while you wait. There's something powerful that happens during the waiting period. You may not understand it right now, but God is working things behind the scenes, making connections, setting up circumstances that will lead to your breakthrough. He's aligning the right people in your life. He's positioning you in places you can't even see yet. Your waiting season is never wasted. It's in the waiting that God is preparing you, refining you, strengthening you, and when the right time comes, He'll open the door that you've been praying for. But here's what I want you to understand. While you're waiting, God isn't just sitting idly by. He's not twiddling His thumbs, waiting for the clock to tick down. No, He's actively moving on your behalf. You might not see the movement because it's happening in the unseen, but He's working on your behalf, making sure that everything is ready for the moment of breakthrough. When the time is right, when everything is aligned, the door will swing wide open, and you'll know that it was His perfect timing. What God is doing in this season is not just about giving you what you asked for. It's about preparing you for what's next. He knows that if He gave you the blessing too soon, you might not be ready for it. So He's taking His time, perfecting every detail, and making sure that when the blessing comes, it will be bigger, better, and more powerful than you could ever imagine. The waiting isn't easy. I know it's hard to sit in the tension between where you are and where you want to be. But in that space of waiting, God is working. He's never idle. He's moving mountains, working on people's hearts, opening doors that you can't see, and setting things in motion. When you think He's silent, He's not. He's speaking through the stillness. He's crafting something far beyond your comprehension. The waiting is a test of faith. Can you trust that He's working, even when you can't see the movement? Can you keep believing even when everything around you feels like it's standing still? You may not have the answers right now. You may not have the understanding right now. But God's timing is always perfect, and His plan for you is always greater than you could ever ask, think, or imagine. So hold on. Keep trusting. The wait is worth it. And when God's perfect time arrives, you'll see that He's been working all along, and it will be worth the wait. You may feel like you're walking this road all alone, like the weight of the world is resting squarely on your shoulders, and every step you take seems heavier than the last. You've fought battles that have left you weary, wounds that haven't fully healed, and there's been no one there to stand beside you in your darkest hours. It feels like the people you've trusted have walked away, and you've been left to face the storm by yourself. But let me tell you today, that is a lie. You are never alone. When you find yourself in the midst of your trials, when the odds seem insurmountable, and the struggle feels too much to bear, understand this. God is not just watching from a distance. No, He's right there with you, walking beside you, fighting with you, and for you. You are not abandoned, and you are certainly not alone in this fight. God is with you, and more than that, He has sent His heavenly army to fight on your behalf. Think about it. When you face a challenge, when everything around you tells you to give up, you are not facing that battle in your own strength. You are not in this alone. God has commanded His angels to surround you, to protect you, to guide you, and to fight the battles that you cannot fight on your own. He is your strength, your shield, your refuge in times of trouble. There's a powerful force that works on your behalf, even when you feel powerless. You may not see it right now, but there is an unseen world of protection and power surrounding you. Every time you feel like you're about to break, there's an angel lifting you up. Every time the enemy tries to knock you down, God's power is there, lifting you higher. You're not standing on your own strength, but on the strength of the Almighty. And even when you're too tired to keep going, God has made a way for you to press on, not in your own power, but in His. There are moments when we face battles so fierce that it feels like the fight is over. We're knocked down, weary, and feeling like we can't go another step. But those are the moments when God is fighting the hardest for you. He is pushing back the darkness, standing in the gap, and defending you against every attack. You don't have to face the enemy alone. Every time you feel overwhelmed, every time you feel like you're about to be defeated, remember that God is with you in the trenches, and He's never leaving your side. You might ask, but why does it feel like I'm still struggling? Why does it feel like I'm still fighting? And the answer is that the battle isn't just physical. The enemy fights through the mind, through our emotions, through our spirit, trying to convince us that we're alone, that we're powerless, and that we don't have the strength to keep going. But the truth is, God has equipped you for every battle. His power works in you, through you, and for you. When you trust in God's presence, when you rely on His strength, you begin to realize that you're not walking through life on your own. You've got divine backup. Angels are on assignment for your life, ready to intervene when needed. You've got a Savior who promised never to leave you nor forsake you. And even when it seems like you're standing in the heat of the battle with no end in sight, trust that God is working on your behalf, making a way, pushing you forward, and keeping you safe. The next time you feel alone in your struggles, I want you to remember this: you are never ever alone. God's got your back. He's working on your behalf, even when you can't see it, even when you feel like you're walking through the fire by yourself. You have divine protection, divine assistance, and divine guidance. You're not just fighting for victory, you're fighting from victory, because the battle has already been won. God is fighting for you, and you will come out of this stronger, wiser, and victorious. Keep walking, keep trusting. God is with you every step of the way. I know some of you have faced setbacks that have shaken you to your core. You've had doors closed in your face, opportunities slipped through your fingers, and dreams crushed in ways that left you wondering if you'd ever be able to stand back up again. But let me tell you, what you're experiencing right now is not your final chapter. It's not your end. No, no, no. Your setback is simply a setup for a comeback. God doesn't waste any of your pain. He doesn't waste your struggles. Every hardship, every challenge, every setback you faced has been carefully orchestrated to prepare you for the greater things He's about to bring into your life. You see, God works in mysterious ways. He allows us to go through seasons of difficulty, not because He's punishing us, but because He's refining us, strengthening us, and getting us ready for something bigger, better, and more powerful than we could ever imagine. Some of you may feel like you've been knocked down so many times that you can't get back up. You feel like you've tried everything and still can't catch a break. The enemy may have tried to tell you that it's over, that you've missed your chance, that you'll never be able to recover. But I came to tell you today that God is in the business of turning things around. What the enemy meant for evil, God is going to use for your good. Every closed door is just an opportunity for God to open an even bigger one. Every failure is just a stepping stone to your success. Look at the story of Joseph. He was thrown into a pit by his own brothers. He was sold into slavery. He was wrongfully imprisoned. But in the midst of all of that, God was working on his behalf. Joseph didn't know it at the time, but every setback, every time he was knocked down, was positioning him for his destiny. What looked like a hopeless situation was actually God's setup for a powerful comeback. And in the end, Joseph went from the pit to the palace. He went from being a prisoner to being second in command over all of Egypt. That's the kind of comeback God has for you. What the enemy thought was going to defeat you is actually going to elevate you to a new level of favor and purpose. You might be in a pit right now, but God is using that pit to prepare you for the palace. Every disappointment, every betrayal, every time you've been knocked down is making you stronger, making you more resilient, and more prepared for the destiny God has for you. The journey to your comeback may not be easy, but it will be worth it. When God turns your situation around, you'll look back and realize that it was all part of His plan to bring you to a place of greater purpose and impact. It's important to remember that your setbacks don't define you. They don't determine your future. You may have been knocked down, but you're not out. You may have lost some battles, but the war is still being won in your favor. God's plan for your life is bigger than any setback you faced. You are not defined by your failures, your past, or your mistakes. You are defined by God's grace, His purpose for your life, and the destiny He's already prepared for you. When God is in control of your life, even your setbacks become setups for something greater. He takes your disappointments and turns them into divine appointments. He takes your failures and turns them into stepping stones to success. He takes what the enemy intended to destroy you and uses it to build you up, to elevate you, and to position you for the next level of your purpose. So don't look at your setback as the end. Don't allow the enemy to convince you that you've missed your chance, or that it's too late. God is not finished with you yet. He's working behind the scenes, making all things work together for your good. And just like Joseph, your comeback is coming. The same God who turned Joseph's story around is the same God who will turn your situation around. Your comeback is going to be greater than you ever imagined. And when it happens, you'll be able to look back and see how every setback was actually part of God's perfect plan to bring you to the place you are destined to be. Keep holding on. Keep trusting. Your comeback is on the way. When you look around and see the favor of others, it can sometimes feel like you're being left behind. You see people being blessed, doors opening for them, success coming easy, and you wonder, why not me? Why hasn't God shown favor to me in the same way? But let me tell you something. When God is on your side, His favor is on you. It's not just about what's visible to others. It's about what's happening behind the scenes that you can't always see. His favor is at work in your life, even when you don't recognize it, even when you don't feel it. Favor isn't always about instant success or instant answers. Sometimes, favor shows up in the quiet moments, in the way that God protects you from harm, in the way He provides for you when you didn't expect it. Sometimes, favor is hidden in the storms, because God's favor doesn't always mean everything will be easy. It means that even in your challenges, He will make a way when there seems to be no way. Even when the enemy is trying to trip you up, God's favor will hold you up and give you the strength to keep moving forward. Think about Daniel in the lion's den. Daniel didn't just pray and expect God to protect him from the lions in a perfect, easy way. No, he was thrown into that den, surrounded by danger, yet God's favor kept him safe. The favor of God doesn't always keep you from going through difficult situations, but it does ensure that when you're in the midst of the battle, you won't be defeated. God's favor makes the impossible possible. It protects you, shields you, and keeps you moving forward, even when the enemy tries to stop you. What God is doing in your life right now, you may not even fully realize. He's opening doors for you in ways that are far beyond your understanding. You may be working hard, doing everything right, yet still feel like nothing is happening. But I want you to know that favor isn't always immediate. It doesn't always come in a big, loud way. Sometimes it comes quietly, subtly, like the gentle opening of a door that you didn't even know was there. God is positioning you for something greater, and His favor is working on your behalf, even when you can't see it with your natural eyes. And here's the truth about favor. When God favors you, it doesn't matter who tries to stop you. It doesn't matter what people say, what doors close, or what obstacles come your way. When God's favor is upon you, there's no one who can keep you from your purpose. His favor will override any obstacle, and it will cause doors to open for you that no man can shut. You'll be blessed in places where others are overlooked. You'll succeed in areas where others fail. Favor isn't about being the most qualified or the most deserving. It's about God's grace upon your life. It's not earned, it's given. Look at the life of Ruth. She wasn't the most prominent or the most expected to succeed. She was a foreigner, a widow with no standing in society, but God showed her favor. She found herself in the fields of Boaz, and the favor of God opened doors for her that others would have thought impossible. Ruth didn't have the qualifications, but God's favor made up for everything she lacked. And I'm here to tell you today that God's favor will do the same for you. Even when you feel unqualified, even when you feel overlooked, His favor will elevate you, take you to places you never dreamed possible, and provide for you in ways that others will marvel at. When God's favor is on you, there's no limit to what you can accomplish. The favor of God will bring opportunities your way that others won't understand. It'll open doors that were once locked. It'll bring you into rooms you never imagined being in. It'll connect you with the right people, at the right time, in the right place. God's favor will cause you to rise above every setback, every obstacle, and every challenge that comes your way. And here's the thing, favor isn't just for you, it's meant to overflow. It's meant to touch the lives of others. God will bless you not only for your own sake, but so that you can be a blessing to those around you. When His favor is on you, it becomes a testimony to others of God's goodness, of His provision, and of His power. Your life becomes a reflection of His grace and favor, and through you, others will see the goodness of God. So stop looking at the favor of others and comparing your journey to theirs. God has favor with your name on it. It may not look like anyone else's favor, but it's specifically designed for you. Keep trusting, keep believing, and keep walking in the assurance that God's favor is on you. Even when you don't see it, even when you don't feel it, God is working on your behalf. He's opening doors for you, and His favor will carry you through every season of your life. Favor isn't just a moment, it's a lifestyle. And when you walk in God's favor, no weapon formed against you will prosper. There's a powerful truth I need you to hear today, and it's one that might shift your entire perspective. God is with you in the breaking and in the building. I know sometimes it feels like everything is falling apart around you. Your plans are crumbling, your dreams are being delayed, your expectations are not being met, and it seems like you've reached the end of your rope. But let me assure you, the breaking is not the end. The breaking is simply a part of God's process to bring you into a place of greater strength, greater purpose, and greater blessing. When things break, it's easy to think that they're beyond repair. We look at the pieces of our lives, the shattered dreams, the broken relationships, the broken health, and we think, this is it. I'm never going to be whole again. I'm never going to recover from this. But what if I told you that God uses the breaking as a part of the rebuilding process? What if I told you that it's in the moments of breaking that God is preparing you for something even greater than you ever imagined? Take a moment and think about a seed. A seed has to be broken open in order for it to sprout and grow into something new. The outer shell of the seed must be cracked. It must be broken before life can begin to emerge from it. And I want you to know that it's the same with your life. The seasons of brokenness you experience are not there to destroy you. They are there to prepare you for the growth, the purpose, and the destiny God has for you. You may feel like you're being torn apart, but what God is doing is breaking open the shell of your old self so that He can bring new life into you, so that He can build you into something stronger, something greater, and something more beautiful. It's in the breaking that God shapes us. It's in the brokenness that we become more dependent on Him. The truth is, we can't truly experience the fullness of God's power and grace until we go through a process of breaking and rebuilding. When we're broken, we are forced to rely on God more deeply than we ever have before. We come to the end of ourselves and realize that we can't do it on our own, that we need God's strength to carry us through. And it's in that place of vulnerability, of surrender, that God can do His most powerful work. I want you to remember that God is not distant in your breaking. He is right there with you, standing beside you, holding you through it all. He is the one who binds up the brokenhearted. He is the one who takes the shattered pieces of your life and brings them back together. The world may tell you that your breaking is a sign of failure, but God says it's a sign of growth. It's a sign that He's at work in your life, shaping you, refining you, and preparing you for something greater. The building comes after the breaking, after you've been broken, after the pain has humbled you, after you've surrendered everything to God. That's when the rebuilding begins. And the beauty of God's rebuilding process is that it's not just about restoring what was lost. It's about creating something new, something better, something more powerful. God doesn't just put the pieces of your life back together the way they were. No, He takes those broken pieces and He creates a new masterpiece out of them. He builds you into something stronger, more resilient, and more capable than you ever were before. You might be in a season of breaking right now, and it may feel overwhelming. You may not understand why things are falling apart, why the doors are closing, why the people you thought would be there aren't anymore. But trust me when I say this, God is working on your behalf. He is using the breaking to prepare you for the building, and He will not leave you in that broken state forever. The building is coming. The restoration is coming. And when God finishes His work in you, you will be amazed at the beauty, the strength, and the purpose that will come from what once seemed like a mess. Just think about the story of Jesus. He was broken on the cross. He endured unimaginable pain, suffering, and rejection. But that breaking wasn't the end of his story. It was the beginning of something incredible. Through his breaking, he brought salvation to the world. Through his brokenness, he made a way for us to be healed, restored, and redeemed. And that same power is at work in your life. God uses the breaking to bring about something powerful. Your story is not over just because you're in a season of brokenness. The rebuilding is coming. The resurrection is coming. I don't know where you are right now, what kind of brokenness you're walking through, but I want you to know that God sees you. He sees the pain. He sees the heartache. He sees the loss. And he's not leaving you there. He's working in your life right now, using this moment of breaking to bring you into a season of building. Trust him in the process. Trust that what he's doing in you now is preparing you for what's to come. The building is coming, and when it does, it will be more beautiful, more powerful, and more purposeful than you ever thought possible. There are moments in life when it feels like everything is crumbling around you. You're walking through storms, feeling the weight of the world on your shoulders, and you may be questioning why you're enduring so much hardship. The waves of life seem to be crashing down one after another, and you're just trying to hold on. But let me tell you something. God is with you in those moments. In the breaking, he is with you, and in the building, he is with you. And in those moments when it feels like the breaking is too much to bear, remember that it is in those very moments that God is working on your behalf. You see, there's a process that God allows us to go through in life, a process that often feels painful, but is ultimately for our good. When we go through trials, we sometimes wonder if God is paying attention, if he sees our struggle. But I want to remind you today that even in the hardest of times, God is at work. You may not understand it now, but he's using every moment to shape you, to refine you, to build you into the person you are destined to become. When you're facing difficult circumstances, it's easy to feel abandoned. You might feel like God has forgotten about you, like he's left you to fight this battle alone. But I want to assure you that God has not forsaken you. In fact, he is working behind the scenes, doing things that you cannot see and may not understand yet. Every tear you've shed, every night you've spent awake wondering how you're going to make it, God has been right there with you, holding you, comforting you, and preparing you for what's to come. God has a plan for you, and his plan is always good. He knows what you need even before you ask. And sometimes the path to your destiny involves going through moments of hardship and suffering, not because he wants to punish you, but because he knows that through these challenges, you will become stronger, wiser, and more prepared for the blessings he is about to pour into your life. Even when it seems like everything is falling apart, God is in the midst of it, working out his purpose for you. The storm may seem unrelenting, and the road may seem long, but trust me, God is working on your behalf. He is orchestrating everything, aligning the pieces of your life in ways that you may not understand now, but you will see in time. When you're in the middle of a battle, it's hard to see the bigger picture. You might feel like you're stuck, like you're going around in circles. But know this, God has a plan for you that is bigger than anything you can imagine. He knows the end from the beginning, and he is guiding you step by step, even when it feels like you're walking in the dark. Trust that his timing is perfect, even if it doesn't make sense right now. You see, God doesn't waste your pain. He doesn't waste your struggles. Every single experience, every hardship, every trial you go through is used by God to prepare you for what he has ahead. It's all part of his divine plan. So even in your hardest moments, remember that he is working on your behalf. He is using everything to mold you into the person he created you to be. And when you come out on the other side of this struggle, you will see that the trials you faced were not in vain. They were the very things that propelled you into the future God has for you. God is building something beautiful in your life. The trials you face are shaping you, molding you, and making you stronger. You might feel weak in the moment, but God is working on you, and his work in your life will never be incomplete. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. He is faithful to finish what he started, and he will never leave you in the middle of your story. There's a verse in Romans 8:28 that says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." This verse doesn't promise that everything will be easy, or that you won't face hardship, but it does promise that God is working everything for your good. Every setback, every heartache, every struggle, God is using it all to fulfill his purpose for your life. And he will work everything out for your good, even when it doesn't feel like it. The breakthrough you're waiting for is coming. It may not come in the way you expect, but it's coming. God is working behind the scenes, moving mountains, shifting circumstances, and opening doors that you thought were closed. Trust that the delay is not denial, and that God's timing is always perfect. He is preparing you for what he has prepared for you, and when that breakthrough comes, it will be greater than you ever imagined. And don't forget this important truth: you are not alone in your struggle. God is with you in every step of the journey. He is your refuge, your strength, your ever-present help in times of trouble. When you feel weak, he is strong. When you feel alone, he is right there beside you, holding you up. You may not see it, but he is working on your behalf, and he is fighting for you. Every battle you face, he is fighting it with you and for you. So when you feel like you can't go on, remember that God is working on your behalf. When the road gets tough, when the storms get rough, remember that he is with you, and he is building you, shaping you, and preparing you for the future he has for you. Trust in his process, trust in his timing, and know that God is faithful. He will complete the work he has begun in your life, and he will never leave you nor forsake you. Keep going, keep believing, because the best is yet to come. God is working on your behalf. There are many things in life that can leave us feeling discouraged, but one thing I want you to know for sure today is this: God is working on your behalf. It's a truth that we often forget in the midst of our struggles, but it's one that you need to keep close to your heart, especially when life seems overwhelming. No matter what you're facing, no matter how many obstacles you encounter, God is behind the scenes, orchestrating every detail of your life for your good. He's not distant, he's not disengaged, and he's certainly not indifferent to what you're going through. He is working on your behalf, even when you can't see it, feel it, or understand it. When life hits hard, we often feel like we're fighting battles that we can't win, and the weight of those battles can be suffocating. You might be facing financial difficulty, dealing with broken relationships, or struggling with health issues, and it feels like you're standing alone in the middle of a storm. But even in those moments of despair, God is working. Even when you don't see the outcome, even when it seems like everything is falling apart, God is moving on your behalf. What's happening around you is not the full story. The truth is that God is positioning you for something greater, even when it doesn't feel like it. One of the hardest things to do when life is tough is to trust that God is working on our behalf. It's easy to question his presence and his plan when everything seems to be going wrong. But the fact is, God's work doesn't always look like we expect it to. Sometimes we're looking for miracles, for instant fixes, for the kind of blessings that come quickly and easily. But more often than not, God's work in our lives is subtle, unfolding quietly over time, in ways we can't always immediately recognize. He works in the small details, in the moments we overlook, and in the process of waiting. It's in those times, when we can't see his hand moving, that he's often doing his greatest work. Look at the example of Joseph in the Bible. Joseph was sold into slavery by his brothers, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. It seemed like his life was over, like his dreams had been shattered beyond repair. But even in those dark moments, God was working on Joseph's behalf. He was orchestrating events behind the scenes to position Joseph in the right place at the right time to fulfill his destiny. It didn't look like it in the moment, but God was preparing Joseph for leadership, preparing him to be a source of salvation for many people. When Joseph finally rose to power, he was able to look back and see that God had been with him every step of the way, working through every trial, every setback, and every disappointment to bring him to his appointed place. You see, just because you're going through a difficult season doesn't mean that God is absent. In fact, it's often in the midst of our struggles that God is doing the most work. He's refining us, testing our faith, and building our character. He's working in the unseen places, preparing us for something greater than we can comprehend. The trials we face are not random or without purpose. They are part of the process that God uses to shape us into who He created us to be. Every difficulty, every hardship is a part of His plan to bring about His greater purpose in our lives. And even when you don't understand what God is doing, even when you can't see the way forward, remember this: He is working on your behalf. His ways are higher than our ways, and His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. What may seem like a setback to you is actually a setup for God to do something powerful in your life. When you're in the waiting, when you're in the middle of the storm, trust that God is at work. Trust that He is making a way for you, even when you don't know how He's going to do it. He's already gone ahead of you, and He's already working in ways that you can't see. It's also important to remember that God's work doesn't always happen on our timeline. We live in a world that values instant results, but God's timing is perfect. He knows exactly when to open the door, exactly when to bring the breakthrough, and exactly when to make things happen. What feels like a delay to us is often God's perfect timing. He's preparing us, preparing the situation, and preparing the people around us for what He's about to do. Trust in His timing, because it's always better than ours. In the moments when you feel like giving up, when you feel like everything is against you, remember that God is still working on your behalf. He's working in your favor, even when it doesn't seem like it. He is working to bring you closer to your purpose, to help you grow stronger in your faith, and to position you for the blessings He has in store for you. Every setback, every trial is part of His divine plan to bring you into a future filled with hope, peace, and purpose. There's a beautiful verse in Romans 8:28 that says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." This is a promise for all of us. No matter what you're going through, God is working in all things for your good. The struggle is not wasted. The pain is not pointless. The heartache is not in vain. God is using it all to work for your good, to bring you closer to His plan for your life. So in those moments, when you feel uncertain, when you feel overwhelmed, hold on to this truth: God is working on your behalf. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. God sees you. He knows you, and He is working behind the scenes in ways that you cannot yet see. Trust Him. Trust His process. Trust His timing. He is working everything out for your good and His glory. Keep moving forward, because your breakthrough is closer than you think, and God is preparing you for something far greater than you can imagine. There are moments in life when it feels like the world is against you, like everything you've worked for is slipping through your fingers, and the promises that seemed so clear in the past now feel like distant dreams. But today I want to remind you of something powerful. God is working on your behalf, even when you can't see it, even when you feel like you're walking alone. In those times when the road ahead looks uncertain, when the trials seem endless, God is right there with you, orchestrating His divine plan for your life. Sometimes we look at our circumstances and think that they are the final word. We think that the setbacks, the struggles, the delays, the hardships are the end of the story. But let me tell you something. The enemy wants you to believe that where you are right now is where you're going to stay. He wants you to think that what you're going through defines you, that your current situation is all there is. But that's not the truth. The truth is that God is working on your behalf. Even in your pain, even in your brokenness, He is at work behind the scenes, doing what only He can do. It's hard to grasp when you're in the middle of a storm. It's hard to believe that God is working for your good when everything around you is falling apart. But I want to challenge you today to shift your perspective. Your life is not defined by the moments of struggle. It's not defined by the heartbreak, the loss, or the confusion. It's defined by God's promises, and His promises are true. He has not left you. He has not forsaken you, and He is working all things together for your good. Think about the seasons of life. There are seasons when everything seems to be flowing, when things are going well, when everything falls into place, and you feel like you're walking in your purpose. But then there are seasons when things are hard, when it feels like you're fighting against a current that's stronger than you, when it feels like progress is slow and obstacles keep coming up. And it's in those tough seasons, in those moments of struggle, that we need to remember the truth. God is working even when we can't see it. He's working in ways we cannot understand, setting up divine appointments, opening doors that no one else can open, and making a way when there seems to be no way. When you can't see the bigger picture, when you feel like you're in the middle of a mess, trust that God is putting the pieces together in a way that will bring you to your destiny. The process may not make sense. The pain may feel unbearable, but God is working in the unseen places, preparing you for the blessings that are ahead. What seems like a setback is often God's setup for something even greater. What feels like a dead end is actually a detour that's leading you exactly where you need to go. Look at the story of Moses. Moses thought his life was over when he fled Egypt. He was in the wilderness, far from where he thought he was supposed to be, far from the purpose he felt God had called him to. But in that wilderness, God was working on his behalf. God was preparing Moses, teaching him, shaping him, getting him ready for the great calling that was ahead. It wasn't until later, when Moses returned to Egypt, that he realized God had been preparing him all along. Even in the desert, even in the moments of obscurity, God was setting him up to lead his people out of bondage. Moses couldn't see it at the time, but God was working for him every step of the way. That's how God works in our lives. We may not always see it, but He is orchestrating every detail, aligning the right people, the right opportunities, and the right timing. God is not limited by our understanding. He doesn't work according to our timetable. He works according to His perfect plan, a plan that is far greater than anything we could imagine. Even in your waiting, even in your wondering, God is working on your behalf. He's aligning things behind the scenes, setting up your future, preparing you for what's coming next. In the moments when you feel like everything is falling apart, remember this: God is still at work. You are not abandoned. You are not forgotten. The setbacks you face are not the end. God is using every challenge, every trial, every delay to build your faith, to refine your character, and to position you for the blessings that He has prepared for you. The pain you feel today is not in vain. God will use it for your good, and He will turn your trials into triumphs. We see this in the story of David. David was anointed to be king, but before he ever sat on the throne, he went through years of running, hiding, and fighting battles. It didn't make sense. He was anointed for greatness, but his reality didn't match the promise. But in the middle of his struggles, God was preparing David. He was teaching him to trust in Him, to rely on His strength, and to have the heart of a leader. When David finally became king, he was ready. The battles he fought, the challenges he faced, all prepared him for the throne. God is doing the same thing in your life. He is preparing you for what He has called you to do. The dreams you have, the vision in your heart, the purpose that's deep within you, it's still alive, and it's still on track. What may look like a delay is just God's perfect timing at work. He is shaping you, building your character, and getting you ready for the future He has for you. When you can't see the way forward, when you don't understand the pain you're going through, when you don't know why things aren't happening the way you thought they would, trust in God's promises. Trust that He is working on your behalf. Trust that He sees you, that He knows the desires of your heart, and that He is faithful to fulfill His promises. Keep going, keep believing, because the breakthrough you're waiting for is closer than you think. Keep your eyes fixed on God, because He is working behind the scenes, making a way, and preparing you for the amazing future that's ahead. So no matter where you are today, no matter how hard things seem, remember God is working on your behalf. The best is yet to come. Hold on to that promise, trust His process, and know that God is faithful. It quote as so easy to get caught up in the pressures of life, to get distracted by the noise of the world, and to forget that God is at work in ways we can't always see. We can get so focused on our struggles, so consumed by our worries, that we start to believe that the difficulties we face are the end of the story. But I want you to hear this loud and clear today. God is working on your behalf, even when you can't feel it, even when you don't understand what's happening around you. The truth is, His work is often hidden from our view, but it's no less real, no less powerful. In fact, some of the most powerful work that God does in our lives happens when we can't see it or feel it. God is not limited by our understanding, and He's not bound by our timeline. We live in a world that wants everything now. We want our breakthrough, our healing, our answers immediately. But God's ways are higher than our ways. His timing is perfect. What we think is a delay, God is using to align things in our favor. What seems like a roadblock, God is using as a stepping stone to take you to new heights. We may not see the bigger picture in the moment, but God sees everything, and He is working it all out for our good. There are seasons in life when everything seems to fall into place. You feel like you're walking in your purpose, like doors are opening effortlessly, and blessings are flowing. But then there are other seasons when it feels like everything is a struggle. You feel stuck, like you're fighting against forces you can't control, and progress feels slow or non-existent. In those moments, it's easy to wonder where God is. It's easy to ask God, why am I facing this? Where are you in all of this? But in those very moments of struggle, God is still at work, even when you can't see it. He's aligning things in your favor, orchestrating events behind the scenes, to set you up for something greater. Think about the story of Esther. She was an orphan, living in exile, far from her home and her people. She had no idea what God's plan for her life was, and it seemed like she had nothing to offer. But God was working on her behalf, even when she didn't know it. He was positioning her for a moment in time that would save an entire nation. When everything seemed bleak, when it seemed like there was no hope, God was quietly at work, putting the pieces together for His divine plan to unfold. Esther had no idea that her beauty would catch the eye of the king, that she would be chosen to be queen, or that she would be in a position to save her people. But God knew, and He was working on her behalf, even in her moments of uncertainty. In the same way, God is working on your behalf, even when you don't see it. He is positioning you, aligning the right people, and setting things in motion for the future He has prepared for you. The struggles you face today are not random or without purpose. They are part of the process that God is using to bring about His greater plan for your life. Even in the difficult moments, God is refining you, shaping you, and making you into the person He has destined you to be. The challenges you face are not meant to break you, but to build you. They are the very things that will strengthen your faith, sharpen your character, and prepare you for the blessings that are coming. You may be in a season of waiting right now, feeling like nothing is happening. You may be wondering why God isn't moving the way you thought He would. But I want to encourage you to trust in His timing. God doesn't move according to our schedule. He moves according to His perfect plan. The delays you experience are not setbacks. They are God's way of preparing you for something greater. He's working on the timing, He's working on the details, and He's preparing the right circumstances to bring His will into your life at the perfect moment. It's important to remember that God's work in your life is not always about fixing your circumstances immediately. Sometimes God uses difficult times to refine your character, to teach you patience, humility, and trust. He may not change your situation right away, but He will change you in the process. He's using your waiting time, your difficult moments, to shape you into someone who is ready for the next level. Trust that even when you can't see it, God is working in you and for you. You may not understand the why behind your struggles, but you can trust that God has a purpose in it all. Consider the story of Job. Job went through unimaginable suffering. He lost his health, his wealth, and his family. He had no idea why he was going through all of this, and he questioned God at times. But even in the midst of his pain, God was working on his behalf. Job couldn't see it at the time, but God was using his story as a testimony of faith, endurance, and trust. In the end, Job's faithfulness was rewarded, and he was restored with even more than he had before.
What Job didn't know in the middle of his trials was that God was setting him up for a breakthrough. God was preparing him for something greater than he could have ever imagined. And just like Job, God is preparing you for something greater, even in your hardest moments. What you may see as a setback is just a setup for your future. The pain you're experiencing today is not in vain. It's all part of God's plan to take you to the next level. He's working in your life in ways you can't see, shaping your character, strengthening your faith, and positioning you for a blessing that's greater than anything you've experienced before. When you feel discouraged, when the weight of life feels too heavy to carry, remember this: God is working on your behalf. He sees your struggles, He hears your prayers, and He is moving behind the scenes to bring you into the future He has planned for you. Even when you can't see the way forward, even when it feels like nothing is happening, trust that God is making a way. He's opening doors, aligning circumstances, and working in your favor in ways that you cannot yet understand. So keep trusting, keep believing, and keep moving forward. Your breakthrough is closer than you think, and the best is yet to come. God is working on your behalf, and He will never leave you nor forsake you. What He has promised, He will bring to pass. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. God is working in your life, and He is faithful to complete the work He has begun in you. Hold on, because your future is bright, and the best days are still ahead.